So hi, I'm Mark, this is Mark's Tech Vlogs on YouTube, and today I'm going to bring you a review of the Apeman dual dash cam. Now, I've been using a dash cam in my car for a couple of years, and whilst I've thankfully never actually needed to use the footage, it does give me that extra peace of mind when driving, which I tend to do quite a lot for work. The problem with my previous one was that it was just a cheap one I picked up off Groupon, and so the quality wasn't particularly good. However, I have recently picked up this one from Apeman off Amazon, which has a 1440p front-facing camera and a 1080p rear camera. So let's dive into the review of this dashcam. First, let's talk about spec. The Apeman dual dashcam comes with two main components: the front-facing camera, which also has the screen on it, and a rear-facing camera. As soon as you open the box, it feels like a premium product just from the way it's laid out, but it does only cost £80, which actually makes it a really reasonable price for all that you get. Inside the box, you get the front and rear facing cameras, a 6-metre USB-C cable for connecting the rear camera to the front cable, a suction mount, a 9-volt power cable which lets you have an extra USB port even once you've plugged it in, and a USB cable for connecting the camera to your computer. In addition to that, you get a bonus 3M sticking pad just in case you ever change car and you want to stick that back camera on again somewhere else, and you also get a spludger for poking the cables around the edge of your windscreen. There's so many things about this product that are really well thought out, especially things like having a USB port even once you've plugged the 9-volt power connector in. The front-facing camera has a 3-inch high-definition screen. This isn't a touch screen, but the screen quality is pretty good. The actual body of a front-facing camera is smaller than I expected it to be, and it's roughly the size of a credit card. This does, however, mean that it's a nice inconspicuous device to have in your car, and it doesn't stand out at all. The design of the device itself has nice rounded edges and is a fairly nice black finish. On the side of it, you'll find 4 buttons for navigating through the menu and various options. The big orange button is also the one you use to start and stop recording if you want to do that manually. The front-facing camera can take 1440p Quad HD video, which looks really good. The lens itself is a 170-degree wide-angle lens, which gives you plenty of viewing area. In addition to that, it's got a built-in 420 mAh battery. You're not going to run the device off its battery all of the time, but it does mean you can use something like parking mode for a short amount of time. It's worth saying that parking mode will probably work for a while when you pop into the supermarket or to the shops, but it's not going to be on all the time where you leave your car on the street overnight. It's also on the front-facing camera that you add the micro SD card. It can take up to 128GB, but I'm just using a 32GB, and I found that it can get a lot of video on that. The rear-facing camera is a much smaller camera that sticks on your rear windscreen. It's adjustable, which means you can tilt the lens to get the angle right depending on how steep your rear windscreen is. Once it's on, it's also pretty inconspicuous and doesn't get in the way of using your rear view mirror. The rear camera has a 1080p HD lens, which also has a 170-degree wide angle. Both cameras have a Sony IMX336 sensor, which balances light and dark areas really well and actually works pretty well for night mode too. The other feature to note at this point when we're talking about spec is the G sensor, which detects sudden collisions and locks that footage. This means were you to be in a crash, you wouldn't have to worry about making sure that video was saved, and you could concentrate on the really important things at that time. This isn't a feature I've tested for this review for obvious reasons, and I hope it's a feature I never have to use. Next, let's talk about installation. Installation will vary massively depending on your car, but it took me about half an hour to install, which included hiding some cables. The suction mount on the front camera and the 3M pad on the rear camera work really well, and once fitted, I think it looks pretty good. Once you've fitted it and you power it on, you can dive into the menu. There's no on-off button on this device, it simply turns on when it's got power, so if you turn your ignition. Once you've fitted it and you turn your ignition, you can dive into the menu on the device and tweak some settings. There's a whole variety of things you can do here. Here are just some of those things. Firstly, you can choose how long the screen stays on for. So you might want to have the screen on all of the time for when you're driving, or you might want it to switch off and just continue recording in the background so it's slightly less distracting. Secondly, you can format the memory card. Thirdly, you can choose how long the video loop records for, so there's options for 3 and 5 minutes. Once your memory card fills up, it automatically deletes the oldest footage and starts recording again. Fourthly, you can set the sensitivity of the crash detection. Fifthly, you can turn on or off the censoring or the watermarking of number plates. Sixthly, you can turn on or off parking mode. And then finally, it's also in this menu you can do things like set your own number plate, set the date and the time, and a few other things such as whether it records audio or not. The interface and the menu for doing this takes a little bit of getting your head around, but once you work out which button to do what, it's relatively easy to do. So, what's it like to use? Once you've got it all set up, you simply start driving and it turns on automatically and starts recording. The screen provides good quality feedback, and actually being able to press a button to switch between the front view, the rear view or a combination is a really useful feature to have. This is especially useful for situations like parking where perhaps you want a better view of the rear of your car. It also records both front and back as you go on. There's also the option to take stills. As you've seen from the footage I've been showing you throughout this review, if you take the video off the device and onto a computer, the quality is pretty good. The audio quality is also pretty decent, although I have switched the audio off because no one wants to sit in a car with someone who's recording their conversations. Even in night mode, the quality of the video is really good, and clarity of number plates is particularly impressive. Both night and day mode are so much better than my old one, and I've been really impressed with the quality of video from this product. All in all, for £80, this is a brilliant piece of kit to give you some peace of mind whilst driving. The quality is incredibly good, it's easy to use, and the design means it looks really good in your car. If you're looking for a dual lens dashcam, then I'd certainly look at picking one of these up because I think it'll do the job for most people. Of course, if you just want a single lens camera, then you can equally pick this up and just not plug in the rear camera. It does still work without that plugged in. I hope you guys have found this video helpful. If you've got any questions, do stick them below and I will try and answer those. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and maybe subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you guys again soon.